Next up, we have Kristina Alkass with Lavelle Law. Please come on up. She'll tell you a little bit more about seeking representation, why we feel this is important on the agenda, is again, the spirit of equipping parents, of understanding more of the process. So take it away, Kristy.
At the beginning of today's presentation, Tanya mentioned that there's a lot of misunderstanding about what to do and when to do it. People do a lot of Googling trying to figure out what's next. And in that time, you can lose valuable time. So the most important thing that I can say is that when you need a lawyer right away. And there's more to it than just a criminal case, which is another thing that's important to remember. When the crime is reported, it goes to the police, the detectives, the state's attorney to take their next step. You don't have control over that process. You don't get to decide if the prosecutor thinks you have enough evidence. You don't get to decide what the detectives do with your case or what case is their highest priority. So there are other avenues in place where you can prosecute and get some sort of penalty, not only to have your day in court, but also to make sure that these things can be stemmed. Not only so that other people don't face the same kind of tragedy that your family has faced, but also so that the offender doesn't come back again. Often in the work that I do, I find that people see what they can get away with. And they take a step, and then another step, and then another step, and when they found out that they can get away with these steps, they do more and more. So it's important to stem the tide by taking some sort of action, and since we know that we have no control over the police, and we have no control over the Cook County State's Attorney, there are many remedies available within the civil courts that we can focus on. So I should back up a little bit. I'm an attorney. My name's Kristina Alkass. I used to be Christy Regal. I got married in March, so I have this transition name thing going on. My cards here have my contact information, and I'm happy to pass them around. You'll also find it has my cell phone number on them. And you can always reach me there as well, and I always answer it when I hear it ring. But I'm an attorney. My office is in Schaumburg. I have another office in Chicago that I don't use as frequently, but is full of attorneys there. And a lot of my work revolves around abuse cases, matters of domestic abuse, and some matters of sexual abuse pertaining to children. So I have experience in both of those arenas, and what I'm here today to talk about is how to get that lawyer. The types of work we can do on a civil case on the same child sex assault situation, we can sue someone civilly in the civil courts. We can get you an order of protection for you and your child. We can get a divorce if that's part of the equation, whether it's a parent that's committing the abuse or a parent who refuses to recognize the abuse is occurring and fails to eliminate the abusive person from the child's life. If you get a divorce from a person who refuses to eliminate that person from your child's life, the court can step in and insist that that person be removed from your child's life. So there are avenues available for you to take action even if the police are doing nothing, even if the detectives aren't looking at your case. So there are things available to you. And the most important thing, though, that I do want to make sure that you understand is when you go to court, there is going to be the question of whether or not you are believed. That is something that you're going to have to face. Quite often when people are accusing someone of assault, sexual assault or whatnot, anything, any kind of matter that's he said, she said, there's a question of whether or not you are believed. And to that, in light of that, time is credibility. The sooner you act, the more likely you are to be believed. And that happens in any civil courtroom, criminal case, order of protection, divorce. If you sit on your hands for a month and don't take action, a judge, an attorney, a prosecutor will ask you, why didn't you come forward sooner? And that is a real question that they will want to know the answer to. And the better the answer, the more credibility you have and the more you'll be likely to be believed. So in light of that, I see people sometimes when they fear that they don't have access to the funds to hire an attorney, they have what I call analysis paralysis. What do you do? I don't know what to do. I don't want to do the wrong thing, therefore I'll do nothing. It's a mistake that you should avoid. I had some notes talking about the Children's Advocacy Center, but it seems like we're covering that base. But that is available as well to get you the interview that you need or the interview your child needs. That can be helpful on a civil case as well. I have gotten those documents before. I'll tell you, in a case that I had with an order of protection, I was able to obtain that Children's Advocacy Center video. Just sending it to the opposing attorney got me the order of protection. I never needed a court appearance. I got that order entered because he didn't want to face it while his client was being charged with crime. So in light of that, some of those things can be really helpful getting right to the end of the case. Again, I know I'm going to keep on repeating this drumbeat, but you do need a lawyer, and time is of the essence. I tell people, there's always a concern. As an attorney, I know that attorneys' fees are notorious for sticker shock. My rate, I'll be honest with you, is over $300 an hour. However, I'm very effective at it. And that is also a very standard rate, but it's hard to chew through when you're thinking about it in terms of cost and what you can afford. But I will tell you this. I passed out tonight, there should be at least one in a seat around you, a list of pro bono and low-cost attorneys that are available in the area. If nothing else, find someone in that list. However, I am here to say that there are lots of people who can represent you and will represent you and probably can be very effective, even charging you on a rate like $300 per hour. That in my world, in the world of abuse, in the world of domestic relations law, in the world of orders of protection, you do get what you pay for. And I tell my clients all the time, it's a tough reality, but if you found yourself behind bars and your essentially your personal freedom at stake, you would find someone to ask, an aunt, can you take a loan against your 401k to help me get out of jail tonight? This could be that moment for you. The moment where you lean on your friends and your family and say, I need your help to get something done, because sometimes we can't go back in time. We can't go back and make ourselves more credible or make ourselves act more quickly or make ourselves seem like we treated the issue with more of an emergency demeanor than we did. So I'll tell you that, I have a lot of female clients, a lot of clients who are moms. And I tell them, there are these moments in life where you read these news stories about women who can lift a sedan because out of adrenaline they're trying to save their child from underneath the tire of the car. Lift the sedan. Find a lawyer. And it's really important. And I find as well, some people make the mistake of thinking that if they go before a court or they go before a judge and they show that they couldn't afford an attorney, that the court will have sympathy on them. The court will say, well, look at this person. She couldn't afford a lawyer. Let me go a little easier on her. That doesn't work. It never works. Don't be that person. Don't trust the court to understand your circumstances. Trust a lawyer to deliver your circumstances in the best possible way. So in thinking about that, I want to move forward. I will tell you this, right now I have 2 pro bono cases. I'm not on that list. But when people come to me, first of all, everyone who's got my card, anyone who calls my office is entitled to a 1-hour free consultation, anybody. So if you want to talk about your specific circumstances, you can approach me tonight, you can call me tomorrow, you can call me anytime. You can call me on Sunday afternoon on my cell phone and I will answer the phone. And given the right circumstances and the right availability for me, I do take cases on a pro bono basis or what I call a low bono basis, sometimes, charging the minimum amount, and there are lots of people who do that. Lots of people I know. I just got an email tonight for someone who I referred a case to her and she took it on a pro bono basis. That's a private attorney who charges people ordinarily and wasn't charging this person. So there really are people out there, even if you can't find anyone on that list I passed out tonight, there are things available to you to be able to have a lawyer. And you wouldn't do an appendectomy at home. You might be able to, I tell my clients, you might be able to figure it out by watching a YouTube video, but chances are you might screw it up. You should definitely have an attorney to walk into that courtroom with you. Another thing that I want to caution you against is your family attorney might waste your time and your money. If you have a trusted advisor who handled your real estate closings and your estate plan, that might not be the best person who's going to represent you in a courthouse, pertaining to abuse and sexual abuse relating to your child. Don't necessarily waste your time with that person. That's a good jumping off point to say, who do you know in this industry, or who do you know in this business who could help me out? But remember that in any of these areas, you want to find the person who knows what they're doing. The right question to ask is not how much is your retainer or what's your hourly rate. The right question to ask is how many cases like mine have you handled before? That's the question that you want the answer to. Because the person who knows the ins and outs of, there are specific laws, as we've talked about tonight, you've pointed out some changes in the laws. Lawyers know the changes in the laws. Lawyers who practice in this area know the ins and outs of it. A real estate attorney is not going to be the right person to help you with a sexual assault case, but someone who handles that incident might be slightly more expensive, but far more efficient at what they're doing. When I handle an order of protection, I go against people all the time who are criminal attorneys who don't know orders of protection, or people who are family law attorneys who don't do many orders of protection. I can go into court and quite often get an agreed order of protection without a hearing because I know what I'm doing. And in light of that, keep that in mind. Someone can be effective on one court appearance. They might be a higher price, but they can be more effective on one court appearance than another attorney who's not skilled in the area of law couldn't do in 10 court appearances. You want to keep that in mind. I like what Emily said before, and it's one of my same highlight points that I have, is be the squeaky wheel. Just because you've hired an attorney, it doesn't mean that you've accomplished your goal. Hiring the attorney is the first step in many steps. When you've got a lawyer in a civil case, your attorney should be advancing motions on your case to affect what you've set out to do. And if that's not going on, you need to be active on the telephone, you need to be active in email, you want to be text messaging, calling that person saying, if I can't speak to you today, is there an associate with whom I can speak about my case? Is there a time when we can schedule 20 minutes to talk? A good question to ask your lawyer is, what's the best way for me to reach you? Some people like to email, some people like only calling on their office lines. Me personally, I love it when my clients send me a text message. People don't think that I want that, but I tell them, send me a text message. It comes up on my to-do list. I'll look at my text messages and know I've got this person to call back, this person to respond to. So ask your attorney, what is the best way for me to reach you? And don't be shy about reaching them. In addition, one of the best things that you can do in terms of hiring a lawyer is find someone whom you trust. The person who's giving you legal advice is going to be giving you advice that you are going to either choose to accept or not accept. And the best way to utilize the services of somebody who's charging you several $100s an hour is really to listen to what they have to say and take their advice. But if you don't trust them, that's a problem. So if you come to someone who someone else has told you is a trusted advisor, but you don't feel good about the things that they're saying, that might not be the right lawyer for you. You really need to think about who this person is, how you came to know them, and whether or not you feel that you can trust them. If the answer is no, you don't feel that you can trust them, then keep looking for a new lawyer. You maybe have somebody doing the work while you find someone else that you feel better about. I wouldn't jump back and forth between lawyers. That's not a good plan. It can cost you a lot of money and also waste time. But the important thing to remember is find someone you trust enough to take their advice, because chances are they know what they're doing. Another thing that I want to point out is that good lawyers are busy. We all have the fear about a contractor who starts the job and then doesn't show up. I wouldn't apply that same theory to an attorney. If someone is an expert in their field and excellent at practicing the sort of law that you need help with, chances are they have a lot of other people demanding their time as well. So in coupling with being the squeaky wheel, also, it's not bad to have a lawyer who's busy. That's something that's very common. Attorneys sell their time. They work on hourly rates. I bill in 6-minute increments. That's a lot of attention to what I'm doing with my time. So if someone calls me, yes, they'll get on my schedule. They can reach me. They can contact me. But just the fact that I'm busy doesn't mean I don't have time for your case. It means I know what I'm doing. So keep that in mind. And again, I have here just written motions, motions, motions. If you've got a civil case, you can have court appearances once a month. You can have court appearances every week. It's a question of what you want to do. When I represent people, I'm representing survivors of abuse who are coming out of circumstances, whether it's sexual abuse or domestic abuse. They're coming out of a circumstance where they were being controlled, and someone was trying to control them. It's my job not to be the new sheriff in town, as I like to say, but to give them their power back, to give them access to making a decision for themselves for the first time in perhaps quite a long time. That means that you, as the client, are in charge, and you are the one who should be driving this litigation. You should be listening to your lawyer's advice, to be sure, but at the same time, let your lawyer know what it is that you want in the first place. If you don't want to file a civil case, if you just want an order of protection, don't let them drive you down the wrong road, because you may find that when you finally tell your lawyer, I did want an order of protection, it might be too late. So let your lawyer know what the expectations are, find out if the lawyer can do that, listen to the advice, but remember, you're the client, you write the checks, you're in the driver's seat. Finally, I just want to get to, a reminder that there are lots of lawyers out there. There are lots of lawyers out there who are inexpensive, lots of lawyers who are expensive, but there is no recipe for success. Some people think that if you go to a law firm that's high in the sky, that they're going to somehow be better, but that's not necessarily the case. If you're looking for someone to represent you in a child sex assault case, the people in that community, the police detectives, the court advocates, the judges, they will know the people who do a good job in that area. That person is not going to be a stranger to that courthouse. And keeping that in mind as well, if you are pursuing a court case in a courthouse, don't get a lawyer that someone had great success with in another county or another city. That's not what you want. You want someone who knows the law, the courtroom, the judge, the practice area, and the court calendar. That's what you want. And so make no mistake, you want someone who is as intimately familiar with what you need them to know as possible. And in light of that, keep in mind that the people in that area, the court advocates, the clerks in the courthouse office, they'll know the people who are serious business in that courthouse. So those are the people to ask. The pediatrician who talks you through it, the people at the Children's Advocacy Center. When I work with people who are survivors of abuse, I work with those people just by virtue of my job. They know me. So those are the people to ask, not, someone who got a divorce 6 years ago, who was the lawyer, or who will call up that guy with the real estate closing. Those are not the lawyers you want. Those people might help you find someone or help you figure out if that person's going to return your phone calls or be too expensive, but it's important to find someone who knows exactly what they're talking about. Lastly, I just want to say, you've got my cards. Anyone in this room is always welcome to call me, contact me, email me, and have a free consultation. You're welcome to talk with me tonight. I'm passionate on the subject, and I'm happy to help you however you need. So I wish you the very best of luck here, and thank you for the opportunity.